All right, Jeremy. I think we're live. We're recording, so we'll see how this goes.
Cool.
Awesome.
Um,
All right, and yeah, we should be on LinkedIn and Twitter, and so I'm gonna have Twitter going up and LinkedIn going up to the side. If you're joining, then just give us a second while we're getting all this rolling.
there
It
we go.
says I think LinkedIn it says it's going pre-live. Let's see what pre-live means. And then I'll jump over to Twitter and we'll see this as well. Right.
Do you know Michael Ferguson?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Michael says good morning.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Cool. So I guess we're live. We've got, let's see what it says. It's still preview. Um, Here we go. Cool. And how do you see comments? That's one of the things I'm looking at.
I've got LinkedIn open on my other monitor here, which I see myself on a delay, which is always fun. And then on the side panel, like on the right side of the browser, there is a chat, like a comments stream that I see, almost like a live stream.
Okay. Awesome.
Mhm. And
Cool.
we got 3 people saying good morning. Good morning, Phil and Melissa. Those are both friends of mine. Phil works with me.
Oh,
Melissa's a very dear client of ours with Alpha Insurance.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Melissa, Philip. We got Michael. Yeah. So Michael runs SEO with our team. And yeah, just looking forward to hanging out with you, Jeremy. So you and
Same.
I guess, had a quick call last week, and I think both you and I had a lot of questions for each other. And I was like, we
Yeah.
should just. I'm trying to also like be more open to having live streams. So I was like, we should just go and like talk about all this stuff because it's a lot of I think running an agency, it's kind of like a dark art, and there's not a lot that's talked about in a way where I'm not trying to sell a course. Like I'm not trying to, like talk about like
Right.
hype of like, oh man, get rich and all this stuff. Cause it's a really tough business and it's a really fun business. But yeah, so just looking forward to being able to talk about what you've been working on. So I don't know if you just want to give a quick intro on 368 and yeah, like who are you?
Yeah, sure. My name's Jeremy, and I'm one of the founders of 368. We started way back in 2010
Okay.
under a different name. We were called YOLO Design.
All right.
I see everyone leaving the chat immediately.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love
And
it.
our claim back then was like, hey, we didn't know YOLO was a thing. We thought we made it up, and that's weirdly true. But we were a web company essentially, and it was sort of a side hustle for me and a couple of friends, and none of us wanted to have real jobs, so we made websites. And very long story short, we grew into a real company, despite our best efforts not to. Um, and and in 2016 merged with a company called Big Fish Presentations,
Hmm.
who they had a niche in presentation design and coaching.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was like, man, what an awesome niche. Cause I love making presentations.
Yeah. It's just, it's a fun form of telling stories and communicating. And, but they had all these really big name clients that were big national brands. But their scopes of work were small because they were just doing presentation work. And they said, hey, what if we took y'all's like technology, web kind of design chops and apply them to these clients, and could we grow these pieces of business? And so we tried, and it worked actually, like it was a great strategy, and we were able to sort of catapult ourselves into becoming a more full service marketing agency. Still
Hmm.
very much, we're like a web product team at our
Yep.
essence, it's always been sort of a weird struggle for us to unravel what that means. And, how do we apply that mindset and that way of working to a bigger picture? So we probably could talk about some of that today, but that's our long story short. And, today we're rolling along, and, at this very moment navigating another kind of industry disruption cycle,
Yeah.
which is always fun and probably why we're addicted to this type of work. But you know, but yeah, that's my story, man. And here we are.
Awesome. And you're based in Baton Rouge?
Baton Rouge, headquarter in Baton Rouge. We have staff kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But, mostly, most of our staff live in South Louisiana,
Okay.
and then we have staff in Colorado and Seattle and
Yep.
all around. But we still operate as a hybrid company, mostly remote. Like we let
Cool.
people kind of come and go as they please.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
I love your backdrop there. I love the sort of look of the office, and yeah, it looks like you have great light.
yes,
So
yeah. This office is. I love it. I know the young blood don't like coming into the office as much most of the time, but I'm an office kind of person. Like I like to have a different space to work in.
yep.
I get more creativity out of a space like this, and
Yeah.
we got really fortunate with this building. It's a historic. It was a historic abandoned warehouse near downtown, kind of typical of an Asian.
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
totally.
lots of wood and glass and all that, and we yeah, we restored it, and now it's our HQ.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had an office in Midtown Atlanta for a bit where same type of thing. It was in a area that had been abandoned, and but I saw like this big, beautiful like glass windows, and we I made a deal with the owner, and I said like, hey, I'll restore this, but I want to trade in rent, and so I did the build out, and I mean like built a wall. Like there was one side of the building that just didn't have a wall. So
Oh,
we had to build a wall and insulate it and get HVAC and like all that stuff. But yeah, that was our home for like the first 5 years. I don't know, I guess up until COVID. So from 2013 until 2020, so 7 years.
okay.
And I loved it, but I knew that when COVID was coming around and then we went remote overnight that it was all going to change.
Yeah,
And it was good in some ways because I don't know about you, but like before COVID we were really an Atlanta focused agency that was doing Atlanta focused work, and then almost like the stigma of working from wherever was lifted because everyone
yeah,
was working from wherever. So since then, we've been fully remote, and I miss seeing like the team. And on a morning like this, I'd go in. We had a wood burning stove as well, so I'd go in and like get my
wow.
espresso going, and then like get the stove going and sit there. And I was talking with Danielle, who leads partnerships for us, and she was like, "Yeah, I'd come home and my husband would be like, 'You smell like firewood,' because
Were you
it's just like,
camping?
what's that?"
I said, "Were you camping?"
Yeah, yeah, it smells like you've been camping. But I love going into, a lodge or an old cabin or something along those lines, and like that, it just hits you. Like there's
Oh,
just
yeah.
something about that. And so I was like, I really want our office to be like that. But now we're fully remote. I think it's probably for the best. Most of my day now is also spent between, I don't know, various Zoom calls or prepping for the next Zoom call. So that's tough to be able to do in an office. And
Yeah.
so, now I can just kind of like get into my little hole and then come out and be like, oh, now I'm gonna go walk around outside. So, anyway,
That was one of the, my list of, like, curiosities. One of them was remote work culture and how you think about that because it's, if I and my team knows this, I struggle with knowing where to land on it because I
yeah,
am a social creature and I'm kind of, I guess, I'm I feed off of the energy of others in a room,
yep,
creatively, and without that, I sometimes I feel like I get depleted more
mm,
quickly.
mm,
Um, but then there's also major pros to having that time to focus and that ability to kind of manage your own environment and your schedule and all these things. So I'm somewhere in the middle, but
yeah.
yeah, I guess like, is everyone was everyone on your team, or were there any people on your team when y'all dropped the office and went remote that struggled with the transition, or was it positive across the board?
I think it was overall positive, but I do know that especially during COVID, people were struggling in multiple ways
Yeah.
where it's like all of a sudden you just couldn't leave the house. And I think for us, I just read a book by the Base Camp guys,
Yeah.
and they were, I can't remember the name of it, but they were talking about how they had set up their culture. And something that struck me was the, and I was also thinking about like internet culture as a way to like really embrace that.
Yeah.
This will be like um, a flashback, but a really pivotal experience in my life was around '02. A friend of mine, this is, pre social media, whatever,
Oh, yeah.
he had started this thing called the beard contest. And so it was like an online beard contest where every day, yeah, Jeremy, you'd do great. Uh, and you would just like take a picture of yourself every day and post it online. But what ended up happening was this amazing like community that sprung up around that. And like really like amazing friendships and back and forth and a lot of creative energy. And so when we went remote, fast forward, one of the things I thought about was like, how can we be intentional not about culture but building community?
Hmm.
And so we when we went remote, we have our Atlanta community where we can all get together. But then when I was hiring, I was like, well, I want to go in and not just like have, because I think it's difficult if you can't ever get together with anyone and just like have tacos or like be able to go out or things like that. So we've
Right.
built individual communities, and so we have a community in South Africa, we have a community in Argentina and in Serbia. So those are our kind of like, and then Atlanta are kind of core communities. Also, Jamie is asking me to go and show a picture of the office. Jamie, I don't know if you've got a link to one that, if you can grab it, I'll screen share here and show that.
So curious.
Yeah, but and I'd be curious, like if there's anyone on the team, keep me honest here. If people are thinking like, Jamie, what are your thoughts? And Ryan, if you have any feedback on the community in South Africa. um, but I think that's given us a way so that each kind of group has a bit of their own identity, and the ability to get together in person. And I think whenever we are able to get together in person, it's always like a celebration,
Yeah.
and it's a great way to kind of recognize when like it's something that's really special.
Yes.
So like this week I was able to see Danielle and Zane in person. We went and met up with another agency here in Atlanta called Liger. And so they were just getting together, and we were like, oh, we're going to get together. And um, you know, that was fun to be able to see them in person. And then, Zane and I were able to talk about like how awesome Jamie is. And Jamie she like knitted a something really special that I'll save.
Ooh.
And, and then just being able to see Danielle as well, who her and I are on Zooms all the time. So I guess that's how we've been able to think about it. I'd say it's not perfect. I don't think there's anything that's kind of perfect right now. We do have we also in Atlanta have like a office subscription. So there's this place called Switchyards, and so we go to Switchyards. In
Yep.
Serbia, we have a physical office. Like the Serbian team has built an office because they wanted to be able to get out of the house. Um, and then in Argentina, I think we've got to figure out what we're going to do there, and probably the same thing in South Africa. So it's evolving, and um, yeah, just I think trying to focus on how to have a sense of community and back and forth. The other thing we've done is we then in Slack have different, I don't know, like non-transactional Slack channels is probably the best way to.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
That's the
like,
most politically correct way to say it.
yeah, yeah. So like we've got a Slack channel, and and we'll think about these as like pop up events. So in October we had Walktober, where again, coming a lot from the beard contest. And if you want to look up whiskerino.org, you'll be able to, like, the beard contest turned into whiskerino.org, and then um, was set aside. Like once beards weren't as cool, or once beards were cool, then we all stopped doing the
Yeah,
beard contest.
yeah.
Not to say that, like, they're not cool, Jeremy. Beards are definitely still
I
very
don't have
cool.
a choice. Like my wife will leave me if I shave this beard off. If she has
Really?
a real face, yeah.
Yeah. My wife wanted to leave me because I had a beard. So, uh,
I shaved it during COVID, and she was like, "Who are you? I don't know this person. Fix your face."
oh, that's hilarious.
That's that cuts deep, but I accept your candor. Thank you.
Um, so what about you guys? Like, what what's life been like at 368? And where does the name 368 come from?
Okay, yeah. So it was so when we started talking to Big Fish Presentations about merging our companies, our two offices were 368 feet apart from each other. We
Oh,
did a Google map measurement, and it was 368 feet, and we made a Dropbox folder called Operation 368, which was our secret folder for planning the merger. Like
wow.
and it just stuck. We had all these other probably cooler names. But that one just had meaning to the team. Everyone was like, that's it.
Yeah,
And we said, you know what? This will be our way of communicating to our clients that your brand name and your logo mark are not what will make or break you
yeah.
as an organization. It's the people, the products, all the other things. And so we've kind of used it as a lens to say, look, our name is a number, our logo is a square. It's
Mm,
there's nothing magical about it. It's got a
yeah,
story, that's nice, but
yeah.
yeah, so that's it. It's just a distance.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. And do you guys still, like, is there the presentation side of the business, or like what's the mix of the business today?
it's so the presentation side is we actually got a flurry of presentation work this year randomly through the Big
Huh.
Fish channel, which we
Okay.
hadn't had since pre-COVID. So we
Hmm.
we sunsetted Big Fish over time, over like a 3-year period. We when Big Fish had some really powerful SEO back in the like mid 2000s, like
Huh.
20 to 2015, we had these blogs that were like, top 10 ways to overcome your fear of public speaking and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And we were
Yeah.
getting a ton of traffic, a ton of work off of those blogs. And as that SEO juice winded down and we were focused on building the bigger business, we just kind of let it taper, and eventually we kind of like soft sunsetted it.
Okay.
The fish site is still live, but it's not being maintained.
Hmm.
We do get occasional leads, but it's not a significant part of the business anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah,
Interesting.
and maybe strategically, who knows? Like hindsight's 2020. I'm like, should we have maintained that? Was that a good channel? But yeah, we just kind of let it go over time.
Yeah. Um, I've been, it's often curious, like, do you have a branded house or a house of brands? I don't know if there's like one right answer there. Um,
Yeah, that's the I think for us, it's a house of brands in the sense that we have Big Fish and we have Aisle 3, which is our film production studio.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So Aisle
Cool.
3 is our film studio, which Phil Roberts, who's in here, uh, is the he ru he's the executive producer. He runs everything Aisle 3.
Huh.
Um, that is a significant part of our business.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you guys do have kind of like a house of brands then.
Yes. Yeah, somewhat.
Okay.
And they're symbiotic, they feed each
Yeah.
other, and we've been able to the reason we broke out Aisle 3 is we were following the playbook from Big Fish, where we said Aisle 3 can be its own magnet, where
Yeah.
the whole pitch is it's leaner, it's no fuss. You don't have to deal with all the agency dynamics of having, you know, account managers and all these things. If you just want production, like animation, film, motion, you can go
Yeah.
straight to the source and get a cleaner, leaner scope. Uh,
Interesting.
but our
That's
bigger
cool.
clients for 368 can also benefit from the economy of using our in-house studio at a
Yeah.
lower cost.
Amazing. That's really interesting. It's something that I've been thinking about as well. We have our sort of like the Edgar Allan core uh, company of, kind of brand build, uh, design and optimize, like that sort of
Yep.
thing, and really focused on the website as the core of owned media.
Mhm.
But to the right of that, we've been building out for the last 5 or 6 years our product group, and now looking at having that have its own identity.
That's
So that's something that we're kind of building out right now. Like, and structurally, we're just doing the not fun stuff there, like getting a SOC 2 and getting, like all the kind of infrastructure pieces that have to be in there. And they'll run differently, because QA is different and
Mhm.
like the cadence of what that looks like. But I think we've been trying to build those so that they can work together, and that, as you were saying, almost like lead magnets. Like we'll have product projects that can come in through the product group, and then we will work on projects and then be able to push those over into the product group. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. So you'll be moving. Are you thinking like a house of brands architecture, like having
that's
separate naming and everything over there, separate?
yeah, that's one of the things that I'm looking at, is that how to have kind of a house of brands where it's almost these individual business units that are responsible for a particular focus within the business. And what I think it also gives is for customers an identity that they can start to attach to,
Right.
around like, oh, this is what I'm getting, as opposed to, you go in and it's like, it's sort of the blob of like, oh, well, you might work with Jeremy and you might work with, I don't know,
Right.
like my rabbit Zeus for who knows, like, so, who knows who you're going to work
Wait, you
with.
have a rabbit named Zeus?
I do. Yeah, I have 3 rabbits. I was just watching Zeus and Evie over here, and they're running around.
That's incredible.
So
That's such a
they're
big name for a rabbit.
yeah, he's a big guy. He's like, they're really funny. If you're ever thinking about getting a rabbit, make sure you adopt, don't buy. That's what I would say. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of rescue rabbits that are needed out there.
Yeah. That's awesome. My daughter wants a rabbit so bad.
Well, Jeremy, we will talk about that in a
Yeah.
separate Zoom, because that's like a whole topic.
Yeah, I know. That's a rabbit hole, no pun
Yeah.
intended. But yeah, we've got a dog who is not rabbit friendly, so
Oh, yeah.
it'd be
There'd be a lot of anxiety for that
a
rabbit.
lot of bad, yeah, bad outcomes
Yeah.
possible.
Well, let me ask, for you guys, and you say you've been doing some product work. Like, what's that look like, or how are you thinking about that?
Man, that's I was hoping you could tell me, but
Okay.
no, I mean, so we made a decision, a year or so ago to productize, which I know is sort of the buzzword going around. But I don't know that we did a good enough job of defining what that really means to us.
Hmm.
We've always had ambitions to develop tech products. That
Mhm.
was actually the origin of the company. Was we'll do websites for a little while, but really we're going to build something. And
Yep.
at the time it was a WordPress plugin or something, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
to sell at scale without having to add a million people to the business. And then we just kind of got sucked into the service vortex and
Yep.
scaled that. Um, and so we said, let's productize because the market is just getting more and more fragmented and it's changing and all of these things make, if you put yourself in the shoes of someone trying to buy from us, it's got to be so scary and confusing
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're just trying to find agencies and they all make you all the promises and they all do the
Yep.
same thing. But how do you know which ones are good at
Yep.
what?
Yep.
So we said, let's try to build like products that have standards and clear value propositions and all of that. And we did a first pass and we've got some stuff, but they're what I would call like soft productized services,
Okay.
like microsite experiences would be like a product.
Okay.
But it still is, in my opinion, and I would love your opinion. My opinion, that's not a true product. A true product,
Mm.
by my definition, can scale without adding time and people.
Yep. Yep.
And the products we have now still require time and people. So
Yep.
we're actually Tara. I don't think Tara's in the chat because she's on Western time or Mountain time, but she's our head of product and she's
Okay.
sort of reevaluating like the product strategy going forward.
Hmm.
But yeah, what about y'all? I'm really curious because y'all are way ahead of us on that front, and I'm curious what you're doing, what you've learned,
Sure.
all of that, wins,
Yeah.
losses.
Um, so we've, as I mentioned, we've been building a product group and kind of like a product sort of muscle for a while. And I think it's something where we've had to make it up as we've gone along.
Yeah,
I've always worked on the agency side, and I've always had things that I've wanted to be able to build, and so we also started EA, and it was like to have the services so that we could then start to build to create products. And if there was an Atlanta company that's definitely been an inspiration, it's like Mailchimp growing out of like uh, rocket powered mice. I think that was the name of their uh, the services side, which was still active up until like I don't know 2008,
yeah,
2010,
yeah.
something like that. I was like, it's crazy. Um, so we've built product around the Webflow economy. Our first product was focused on kind of creating estimates and contracts, and then I was like, oh, we need to build something and it's really good. And we were using it internally because this was a pain point that I could see within the agency business. But we needed to build something that was going to create revenue faster.
Right.
So we had an RFP that we were responding to, and they needed to deploy their Webflow site into their infrastructure. And so I had a prototype, and I was like, oh, well, we have this product. And so within the RFP, we were like, hey, we can migrate you off of the AEM onto Webflow. And then we built this deployment product, which became known as WES. And
West.
so, and that's been something that we've worked on over the past 5 years. We've been really, I would say, judicious around working with Webflow on that. So it's like it's enterprise only, and it's probably the product that people know the least amount about, but has been able to provide us with the highest amount of like product revenue as well as services revenue, because it's given us kind of like this unfair advantage when we go into RFPs. Like we can, you know, take the objection off the table of like, oh, we need to, do X, Y, or Z. And it's like, well, we can do that. So I think our product philosophy has really been, hey, as we're working on our services work, what can we start to spin off and create? And so our next product was Slater. And that came out of Letter Run. So I don't know if anyone remembers, I'll throw this into the chat. Letter Run, which, was letter-run.webflow.io, and coming out of COVID, and we'd all been stuck in our houses. And we also, we do a lot of just like B2B work. And uh, fun facts, like it was also kind of came out, if I was to be completely honest, like Letter Run came out of WebflowConf 2022 or something like that. Anyway, we received like no recognition, like no awards, no nominations, nothing. And I was like, you know what? We're doing awesome stuff and we need to get recognized for it. So we're going to swing big and do this like crazy thing. So we ended up building like this whole 3JS, world that runs inside of Webflow. And we were like, Webflow doesn't have to have constraints. Like you can work in a coded environment and Webflow and have those two things kind of coexist. But through that process, we are like, man, working with JavaScript and Webflow really sucks. We need a better tool to be able to do this. And so Jared built Slater, which became kind of like the JavaScript layer for Webflow. And it was also kind of a response to I was like, man, this visual logic that Webflow is building is BS, and it's not where the market's going. And let's just go in and like use AI to write some JavaScript and then have that be in Webflow. So we were kind of doing vibe coding before like vibe coding was a thing, and so it was great to be able to get that out. Um, and so and now fast forward, Slater is the product that we're probably most known for and have the highest amount of people that are using it, but it's almost like a community investment. Because, it's like Webflow developers, by and large, are just trying to do the best they can to deliver those projects. And, budgets are really tight, but enterprise budgets are a lot more flexible.
Right.
So that's where Wes really has been able to fund that side of the group, but then we can go back and forth there. And then we have new stuff that we're launching and working on right now as well. So, uh, yeah, and now I think being able to spin that off into its own group and have that work independently um, is the thing that I think will hopefully help to have that scale up, because for the last few years, the thing that slowed us down is having to kind of jump back and forth between
Yeah.
like stealing like development resources and design resources and always kind of like cobbling it together and feeling like we're never moving fast enough or doing enough. But the good thing is that we've been able to do it without external funding. So we've been able to kind of be on our own treadmill. And now that we've got some product market fit, we're able to now have that group work more independently.
Man, yeah, that is something I would love to pick your brain on, and at the risk of getting really businessy, but like our experience running this type of business is the margins are just not very fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, like it's just scope creep is big, and there's a lot of just variables and
Yep.
indeterminable things. What has been your approach to being able to find the space to invest in those products when maybe the free cash or margins might not be there, or were they there? Because for us, that's been such a hurdle that we've
Yeah.
struggled with.
I would, there's no easy answer there for
Yeah,
sure. And, um, as I said, it's been finding time to invest whenever we have some downtime. But then that means that like our product group has gotten randomized a bit where it's like, oh, now we're working on this. And it's like, oh, now we have to jump off. And so the next thing that our next chapter there is, again, it's taken 5 years, but now being able to have the focus there.
yeah,
Um, and then building things that have helped to propel the business. So Slater, the good thing there is that we're able to go into conversations and say, we can be a very technical partner and you don't have to feel like your technology team doesn't have to feel limited by this platform. I think the push for no code as a marketing thing was good maybe initially, but I think eventually it kind of really held Webflow back. And we were always like yes, and like let's go in and have a hub where we can all work together in the best type of way, whatever is most comfortable for you. It's like some people it's visual first, but other people like they really appreciate like clean logic and being able to look at a text file and being able to go and connect that. So
right.
Slater gave us credibility there to say that we could go and do sort of a yes and extend Webflow. And then Wes has given us the ability to say, yeah, well, you can go and do all of this, and now you can deploy Webflow into your application. So those two things have been able to work together. And as we're building out our next product, thinking about how it can be a right for us to win within the services side so that we can fund this until we have that inflection point where there's product market fit.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that's cool. Um, yeah, that's certainly our ambition as well. Like in some form or fashion. I think what I admire about y'all is that you have a stronger focus. And I think I told you this last time we talked. It's like a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
Being able to reach wider into an organization is cool, and it's a privilege to be able to help the company more broadly, but it also spreads us more thin, and the trade-off there that we're we're trying to manage. So yeah, this is like for me, I'm just my brain is on fire learning from all of the things you've done, man. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, I would actually throw this back out at you guys and say, I feel like you're really primed for where the market is going. And maybe like, yeah, when Webflow was just focused on kind of a building tool,
Right.
that's there. There's been a lot of people that have just been like, oh, we're going to go development only. And we never did that because I was like, that's going to be, and I've seen it like just this race to the bottom where it becomes commoditized. And it's like,
Right.
well, you can maybe go and have slightly better class system or move faster or whatever. But, it's like, are you selling vitamins or painkillers? And the real painkiller right now is CMOs feeling like they don't know where to go, right?
Right.
And being able to work with them to solve the business problem. And so I think what you guys have, like, what I love about your work when I look at it is like you guys solve all these like really difficult go to market challenges, business challenges, like these marketing challenges. And now with like analyze and optimize and getting into deep SEO and CRO and like all that stuff, I think that's where there's a huge opportunity. And, I I would love to hear more from you guys on like how you're seeing like marketing approaches change and what a lot of the web builders out there can start to learn as they're thinking that they're behind now because they don't like everyone's like it's all changing, and as you said at the top of the call, like it's all changing and it's all really dynamic, but what people could learn, and I think that's the thing I think you can start to really be able to share with the community.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, man, I've been, this is what's keeping me up at night right now. Right now is sort of like, what is the role of web presence in the future? And I've been kind of arriving at this conclusion, which is probably it's nothing revolutionary, but it's just the idea of a website being a website is problematic in that it's not, it's no longer a website. Like there are
Mhm.
microsites that
Yep.
are designed to compel you to have a feeling
Mhm.
or just to be memorable. There are conversion sites. There are all different types of web presence that
Yep.
live at the end of a domain. Um, and what we've seen with our clients that we're able to do more work across the board for, more marketing, performative work,
Mhm.
is being able to distinguish the different roles of websites in their organization and how they function and how they work together. And
Sure.
I I've always found, especially actually when Webflow first came out, it sort of democratized web building in a
Yeah.
new way. Like, and it in the WordPress universe, I feel like the developers ruled,
Yep.
and then in the Webflow universe, the designers ruled.
Yep.
Like they took the reins, with the whole low code functionality.
Yep.
And so what you saw was like a lot of cool looking sites that didn't do their job. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Totally, yeah.
yeah,
And something gets celebrated on awards, which is awesome.
yeah.
But yeah, it was funny. Like with Letter Run, we're like, we're gonna win awards, and then it was like it really didn't result in any business. Um, so I mean, it was cool
Yeah,
and
there's
whatever,
something
but
to that, right? Like,
yeah, and it definitely gave us a cool factor. And so when we would talk with companies, they're like, "You've just done B2B stuff." We're like, "Yeah, but we can do cool stuff too. Like, don't worry." But that's a different gear.
yeah, it's and they're different. And so I think what I've seen is just like maybe we have to change our language about how we talk about web and its role, and then also like upskill the web community, like the design
Yep.
community and build community to be more mindful of the job of the website for the business.
Yep.
Cause like what's interesting is we have a client and we run like marketing for paid
Yep.
ads, all these different things. And what we did in this past year is 1 month they said, let's double the budget on paid media,
Hmm.
see what happens, And it was interesting because uh, we didn't double the amount of customers that came in.
Hmm.
And we're still kind of unraveling why, but I think there's a lot of reasons probably. But one is that people get atrophied or worn
Yeah.
out on ads in general. And so
Yeah.
they become less effective. Like you can't just throw money at the problem. But then also we were mapping every phase of the journey through the website and watching where people were bouncing out. And
Hmm.
we were seeing, even if we could double the amount of people coming into the site, we weren't doubling the conversions down the funnel
Mm.
on the site through the whole digital journey. And and I guess like for me, like the designer of the future is really kind of thinking along those lines about the
Mhm.
journey and about
Yep.
every step of the process. And I've seen I've seen a lot of designers create UX that is cool, but more challenging and doesn't
Yep.
necessarily like serve. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I almost see like a return to fundamentals.
Mhm.
And those might be the people who win in the future are like, it's less sizzle and more substance kind of thing.
Yeah.
um, but I don't know. That's just like, I'm just thinking out loud, but
Yeah. Well,
curious what you're seeing.
sure. So I would say that we're seeing something similar in that the role of the website for a long time, if I was to simplify it, it was a brochure. It
Right.
was sort of like you build it and forget it, and maybe start creating some blog posts and hope for some general SEO optimization and things like that.
Right.
And now the shift that we see is, media is becoming more expensive. And even if you go and double the media spend, your total addressable market within that spend is not going to double
Right.
necessarily,
Exactly.
which I think is probably what you guys saw. And
100%.
probably what you were seeing is like traffic that was coming through that wasn't the right traffic. Um, I would say that I think the cool thing about what we've seen with Webflow, and it's kind of, I'm going back to Webflow, but I have this idea like first we shape our tools and our tools shape us. That's often attributed to Marshall McLuhan, but it wasn't Marshall McLuhan. He had popularized it. And if Marshall McLuhan, if you're a big nerd like me, wrote um, a whole lot on technology in the 1950s, and a lot of that kind of is relevant today. Like the medium is the message
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
something that he had written, and anyway, but when Webflow had acquired Intellimize and incorporated that into Optimize and Analyze, it was a big shift in what we could offer. Because
Yeah.
before that, we were maybe looking at Mutiny every once in a while, or looking at like CRO was a thing we could start to
Right.
think about. But unless you have, I think, that hands-on ability to really work within the tool, it becomes so cumbersome that you either have to run a really big team, which then has inefficiencies, or you're just not really running like a true CRO program.
Right.
So for us, we've looked at like, okay, let's go and like have our best assumptions, design, build, get this out into market, and then start to roll into an overall optimization program, which has SEO, search optimization, conversion rate optimization, which is looking at that journey map that you were speaking of. And something that we do within that team is look at the effectiveness of the paid campaign. And sometimes we'll audit the paid agency, which has been interesting.
That's cool.
And start to find like, hey, this looks like click fraud, and like we'll find that all the time. Where I don't think it's always malicious. I think it's just so easy for click fraud to happen. And you know you're looking at your forms and you're like, why aren't man, our design must be really not effective. And it's like, no, the upstream traffic is what's not effective.
Right.
Um, but I think being able to look at that holistically has really opened up a lot of opportunities for us where we can, on two sides of this coin, say like, hey, we're going to help you solve your short-term business challenge and help to address like how do we address the business challenge of like you're just not getting leads, and then what's the long-term challenge of like how does your team have the ability to work in a platform so that if you have an insight that you can kind of turn that around and be able to make page updates, and you're not having to call Jeremy or Mason's team every 3 days and be like, can you update this link? Can you
Right.
update this hero? We've got an event coming up, which I love. Support contracts are great, but it should be like it should be something that someone is able to opt into, not that they are bound to, which I think is one of the biggest changes that is happening within the agency space, where customers, at least for us, because we do a lot of migrations, they're just tired of having to go back to the agency to have them like update a link or update a hero image or be able to do stuff that's not really impacting the business.
Man, you know what's interesting now that you say that? We were talking about this recently, but we were auditing our like sales, like our wins and losses
Yeah.
for web. And the way we started way back in the day was we our whole pitch was we're going to build you a website, you'll be able to manage it yourself, no
Yep.
contracts,
Yep.
clean. And that was
Yep.
a value prop back then
Yeah.
because people were like, man, we're tired of these big heavy support contracts, we don't really get value. Well, fast forward to the last few years, we looked back at our losses, we went back to the people who we were, selling to or pitching to, and said, what influenced that decision, help us understand. And we started hearing, well, y'all didn't have like a robust enough support service
Yep.
behind the website. And we were like, wait, I thought you didn't want that, but the conversation has shifted. Or
Yep.
maybe our client mix has shifted. I'm not sure, but people now see a website as something that needs to be managed and maintained to
Yep.
be effective. It's like
Yep.
the clients have kind of caught up, I guess, to that idea. And so we're adapting our model now to that.
Well, and I will say sort of a yes and one. I want to go and give a shout out to our support team. So we have a customer success team,
It's awesome.
and what we see is that sometimes it's a transition of enablement that has to happen
Yeah.
where, like someone's not ready to take over that full responsibility because it's kind of an organizational change that has to happen. And then on the flip side, it's not that we don't want to work long term. Our best customers, like we love really being able to get in and understand and know their business. But the things that we can impact aren't just like they're actually going to go and help to move the needle, right? So that the things that won't take us a lot of time, which can be like, oh, we're going to go in and update this link or hero because you don't have time to be able to do that. Meanwhile, we can go in and also look at, let's audit the traffic. Let's see what's not working. Let's optimize like this conversion flow. Let's go through and let's audit your paid media, right? So all of those types of things allow us to be at the center of this conversation. And, my hope is like, if I was to, have a magic wand and dream a little bit, is that this allows us to be more of like the agency of record
Yeah.
for our customers where we can help to be that centering force on how all of this stuff that's happening within their marketing world really should be impacting their bottom line, and that we can look at, okay, how is your PR agency doing and how does that now relate to AEO, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how does your paid agency,
Right.
how are they working, and what do we need to look at around the effectiveness of that traffic, as well as like what's the traffic that we want to maybe start to seed to drive authority. So being able to look at that holistically, I feel like for agencies like 368 and Edgar Allan, like we've been in this mix for a really long time. And so that's what makes me really optimistic about how to
Yeah.
take, what, you'd mentioned is like, man, are we going too wide? And I feel like being able to go a bit wide without necessarily trying to, you know, still having focuses, right? Because I
Yeah.
think, you've got to have the right sort of balance of work through the group. But yeah, being able to think about the holistic business problem and then the ability to just really help drive their business forward.
Yeah, that's 100% our narrative over
Yep.
here right now is moving our work closer to the bottom line. And
Yep.
like I think I'm just, theorizing here, but with some economic uncertainty and a little inflation, it pushes people to focus on the dollars a little
Yep.
more. And you see that reflected in the work. Like people are
Yep.
like, is this worth it? Like, can you prove
Exactly.
it?
Yep.
And so for me, it's a moment of refinement for us. We're
Yep.
actually being held to the fire now, and
Yep.
that's a good thing because it forces us to be better. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, and I think that I tell our team, I think the ones who make it through this phase of disruption that we're in are
Mm.
going to come out so much stronger because we're going to have to know where our work really brings value and
Exactly.
understand ourselves better. So it's exciting through that lens, and I see our team getting so much better from that perspective. It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome actually to see them engage with that type of thinking, moving from focusing on the product to focusing on the business.
Mhm.
Um, and I see Marcelo has a question. Do you know Marcelo from
Yeah,
Friends?
of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
Marcelo is, he's he's a gem.
Yeah. So he says, how are you dealing with clients that are doing MVP landing pages without branding and strategy because of vibe coding and then thinking they lost product market fit?
Interesting. So, how are you dealing with clients that are doing MVP landing pages about branding and strategy? I don't know. I'm not seeing. I'm actually not seeing a lot of vibe coding as it relates to you know like Figma Make or anything along those lines. Or um, and I think that as I look at AI, um, it's really easy to have something that feels feels like a real thing, but
Mm,
isn't a real thing.
yeah.
And you know, I feel like we're moving from this information age with knowledge work to my rabbits are like
The
running around.
rabbits are, yeah, getting
Yes, I don't
rabid.
know if you've heard them. Uh, like between 8 and 11 is like their active time. But anyway, uh, so moving from the information age with knowledge work to a knowledge age, and it's like what's next. And I feel like wisdom work is the thing that we're focusing on, which is not necessarily like knowing how to deliver something; it's knowing why to
Yeah.
deliver something and when to do that. Um, and if you want to like the root of this thinking actually goes back to a Frank Zappa song and Joe's Garage. Did we talk about this last time?
No, I'm so
Oh,
curious
oh
though.
yeah, yeah. So Frank Zappa, 1970s, sort of like rock
Oh yeah.
artist, had a rock ballad called Joe's Garage, and then in Joe's Garage, there's this monologue which starts off with information is not knowledge, knowledge is not wisdom, wisdom is not truth, truth is not beauty, beauty is not love, love is not music, music is the best. Anyway, but
Yeah.
this gets in like this sort of this
Amen.
it's sort of like this hierarchy of needs, right? And so as we think about it, information is just sort of like the baseline of the hierarchy, and then you get into knowledge of knowing how to work within that information, but then how do you have the wisdom to be able to work with that knowledge? And so I've been thinking about our work as we need to move out of being just pure knowledge workers into being really like wisdom workers, which is around discretion and really having the experience of knowing like, yep, this is what's going to be effective, this is what's going to work. And I think that's something that people have resonated with. Now, I don't say that we're going to come in and be wisdom workers or whatever, but just trying to focus on more of that why and what we're doing has helped to filter out what could look like you're like, oh, this looks like a marketing strategy, and it's like, yeah, but that marketing strategy is full of M dashes. Like, I don't think there's anything there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of be
Dude,
able to have that
that's
perspective.
yes, I love that. That's, you know, information does not equal understanding. And
Yep.
we've been talking about the role of the future going from creation to curation, and like that's a topic now. But I think my brain works in like metaphors, but it's like right now it feels like if I'm like, I want to learn how to build a house.
Yep.
You say, okay, well, go get a bunch of boards and some nails and a hammer. And I say, and 20 years ago, you just had, you had to go and source those boards, be very intentional about where you get them and all of these things. Now, using the metaphor for AI, it's like I can prompt and get all the boards in
Yep.
the world, all of it. I have a pile of boards as high as you can see, but does that make the house better? Or does that
Yep.
even give me the ability to build the house?
Yeah.
No, it just gives me a pile of boards. And like, I feel like people are really, we're in this like information inflation stage, and I know, I went to a dinner, like an AI roundtable dinner, and they were talking about like the next wave of AI tech is
Hmm.
going to be consuming the generated information from this wave of AI tech
Oh my gosh.
and consuming it and curating and filtering it for humans so that
Yeah.
it's usable. And I was like, whoa, you know,
So taking those really long emails that are auto generated by AI
yes,
and then
and
just
then
giving you the
eating
bullet
them
points.
and then spitting them back. It's like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and the oceans are just draining. But but that's an interesting thought as well for like that next generation of AI tech companies will be the consuming
Hmm.
tech companies, and those aren't quite there yet. But
Well,
anyway,
and
I mean,
I think that gets into, Marcelo's question here and looking at how, yeah, like just because you can auto generate that, now you need to be able to run like sort of a conversion optimization campaign to understand really,
right,
let's look at that landing page. Okay, well, how effective is it? How does that fit within the customer buying journey? How is sales using it? Like all of this stuff that you have to understand, like a broader narrative, which is how you're interacting with humans and then how humans are using that tool and being able to have that discretion to
right,
link those together. So I think there's a lot there, and it's great for us as creators because there's got to be someone that can help with that discretion and that being able to bring that wisdom.
yeah,
So also want to just give a shout out to Brandon and Justin. So you guys have joined the chat.
yes,
And as you guys have other questions, we've got a couple more minutes that, we can keep hanging out. Um, so keep those rolling.
yeah, man.
And yeah, what is it? Create a global campaign to reclaim the M dash. You know what I need is I need like a one key in my keyboard that just creates an M dash. So because like I couldn't tell you the keyboard shortcut to create an M dash.
Dude, that M Dash was one of my favorite writing devices because it was rarely used.
Yeah.
And then when AI stole it, I really now struggle because I'm like, what is the punctuation mark that I need here? It's
Oh
got is
yeah.
it a comma? Like that's boring. But I can't use an M dash because they're not going to think it was me.
Exactly. I use dashes all the time. Also, like I will. I'm a notoriously bad speller, but I'm now kind of intentionally leaving like grammatical errors and spelling errors so that people know that it was written by a human, and I'll especially do that in social.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Imperfection is actually a strategy.
yeah, it is. Like we have a writing style guide for EA, and one of the things we have in there is to have periodic um, grammatical or spelling errors so that it looks like it was written by a human.
Yeah.
Um, Michael, good to see you. Got a question for you here, Jeremy. Would love to hear about 368 being a B Corp. What was that like to set up? Was it challenging? And what are the trade offs that come with that versus just being an LLC or S or C Corp?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Great question. So a B Corp is, it's not a actual business structure.
Hmm.
It's like a designation. So
Yep.
we're still, we're an S Corp, I think right now as a
Okay.
business, from like a financial and compliance perspective. But, the B Corp certification is something you earn as a signal, to let the market know that you're trying to do good. You're trying to hold yourself to a higher standard. And the components they look at are like how you treat your employees, your level of transparency, your community involvement, how you treat your customers, and how you treat the environment.
Hmm.
I believe, and you go through this rigorous. So you have to apply for it. You go through a rigorous evaluation process where they audit you. They have like secret shoppers with your employees and all these different things that they do to kind of score you. And we were really fortunate to earn the designation.
Hmm.
Uh, the area we scored lowest in was environmental impact, and that's only because we don't do a lot of physical. We just work on computers, so we don't
Yeah.
have like machinery where we can recycle it or water that
Yep.
we can reuse and things like that. Like if you're a company that works with physical products, the environmental component becomes a lot more important.
Hmm.
But yeah, so you can go to the B Corp website and there's you can understand how it works. But
Hmm.
we were trying to be the first B Corp in Louisiana. We were the second. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, we just missed it. But that's awesome that more people are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a great community. I've been able to connect. Like they'll do these. just hangouts, with other
Hmm.
B Corp class people, like people in your class. And I've met such an incredible people, and everybody who's sort of involved in that world is trying to just do better through business.
Hmm.
So yeah, that I don't know if that answers your question, but
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. And Michael, good to see you in the chat here. And Jeremy, a question I've got for you, and uh, I know a lot of people in the Webflow community would be like curious. What's it like working with Timothy Ricks? And like, I'd love to hear, like, not to put you on the spot or for do anything that would make him feel uncomfortable, but just love to hear any perspective there and stuff that you guys are doing with within like Lumos or like any of the Webflow kind of like development work that you guys have got going on.
yeah, yeah. It's like trying to catch a unicorn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's Tim. I think most people here probably know who we're talking about, but he's won Community Educator of the Year from Web
Yeah, like just
several times.
yeah.
Just an incredible teacher. He's got his own brand that is that eclipses everything we do here. But it's I would say it's awesome. Like the things that I admire about Tim is first and foremost, like he is a learner. Like the
Mm,
dude is ahead of everyone when it comes to embracing new tech, learning it, learning how to use it.
yeah.
He's a doer. He's a
Yep.
man of few words. But if we're like, hey, what if we do this? He'll drop off a Zoom and come back the next day and be like, I did it. Now what? It's like, and I'm like, how did you, but how,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Lumos is now like, I think there's only almost 20,000 copies of it being used. And it's huge. And I'm trying to figure out how to talk about Lumos
Okay.
to our clients, and say,
Yeah.
this is an advantage. This is a product, I think. But
Yep.
I mean, what else? I've got so many stories about Tim because I don't know if you've seen Mason, like a lot of our pet projects, like we did Project Turntable. That was like the first
Yeah. Yeah. I
project,
remember that. Yeah.
and then we've
That
made
was
some.
from like oh 02, oh 03, something like that.
It was no, it was later than that. I don't know what year, but
Okay.
it was something late. I don't know, but it was early days.
Okay.
I think I could find the date, but yeah, that one like put us on the map in the community
Mm.
because it was just so novel. And then we've tried to continue doing those. So like we do a company retreat every year.
Did you do
And
something with a bus?
yes, yeah. So that
Okay.
was one of the retreat apps. So
Okay.
Tim built us we have a retreat app that we use every year, and it's awesome. It's gamified. Everybody has a profile. It's all on Webflow, and like your itineraries in there, like things to do. There's like a community element to it.
Mm.
And then when we announce the retreat location, we make video games. Like one of those was with a bus where you have to like beat the game to uncover the location of the next retreat. And,
Wow.
and so those, I can share some of those out. I think I've got one right here, but that's a lot of working with Tim is like finding opportunities to do like novel web experiences that sort of push the boundaries of what's
Mm.
possible.
Yeah.
And I know that's where Tim thrives because, regular client work for someone like Tim is like probably sort of a snooze fest sometimes, like technically.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so we try to do our best to feed him opportunities to stretch himself.
Yeah.
And the other way that we work with Tim is because he's such a natural teacher and educator, most of his job now with us is just like teaching,
Yeah.
working with our other team members, our other Webflow
Yep.
folks, and overseeing what they're doing, like, just teaching, make
Yeah.
upskilling basically. So I
Man,
don't
I
know
would,
if that answers the
you,
question.
you know what I think would be fun? I'll just throw this out there. You were talking about a retreat and then all this stuff. There needs to be like a 3-day on site in Baton Rouge
Yeah.
where people could come down, like learn Lumos and have amazing food, hang out with y'all, and just be able to, you know, get a get that sort of stuff in person, which I feel like he does so much that's online. And like I've been able to talk with him a couple times at Webflow Conf, and yeah, he's super soft spoken.
Yeah,
But yeah, just being able to learn from him in person would be like a huge treat. So maybe that's something that you guys could sell as a course and people could sign up
dude,
for. And
that's a great idea. I was gonna get him to join us today, but he lost his voice.
oh no, all right, well then we'll have like a whole other session if you're up for it, where we just
Yeah.
talk about like how he's thinking about building and that type of thing.
Yes. Yeah. That I know he wanted to be here. I called him last night and he's like, I can't talk, you know?
Oh no.
So
uh
I was like, all right, we'll get you on the next one. But
Yeah, and like I would throw it out there as well. Like, maybe we just put a land. I mean, I have no shortage of ideas, but like
let's
I
go.
think if y'all had a landing page and was like, hey, if we can get 20 people to sign up at this budget and have something, like in your beautiful office there, and people could come in and learn Lumos and whatever, like, oh my gosh, like no question. Um, so
Dude, I mean, I love that you always leave me with such a big idea.
Oh, that's my problem is like I feel like 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 a songwriter for just like stuff to do in business. And so like I'm like and I like when we were talking last time, I'm like, man, I want to get down to Baton Rouge and get down to Louisiana and like see you in person. And but that would be incredible.
yeah. Yeah, you have to be here if we do this.
Yeah. I will sign up. We could do maybe a day of like maybe it's like a Lumos thing and then like contracts and project planning or something like
Yeah,
that, where we could share like, hey, here's how to think about an MSA. I mean, I've got the book that I've written, which I could use as a sort of
please.
backbound, like part of the course materials. um
Please.
yeah.
And that's so cool. That's, and like our ultimate sort of picture of this company at its best is we have this concept, we call it the block. Our
Mm,
logo is a square, we call it the block.
yeah.
But I've always had this in my imagination, this building that is a square with a punch out in the middle that is like a garden.
Yep.
And each wing of the square serves a different function. One is like makers doing
Yeah.
work. One is like learning for people who want to learn new things. And one is, creative space, whatever. But
Yep.
this is like it feels like a step toward that of like bringing people together to learn, you
Yep.
know, in a very like highly immersive environment, and then go out and create, go out
Yeah.
and do, you know,
And I would say in like the thing that's held me back is like I don't want to be like a business influencer. Does
yeah,
this make sense? Like I'm not trying
totally.
to like I've sold our book at a loss. Like every book that we sell, it costs us more to make it and ship it than it does.
Most books.
Yeah. And that's one of the also reasons why I haven't like we don't have a landing page. Like you have to go and find a very specific tweet to even buy it.
Can you
But
send me that tweet so I can get a
oh
copy?
yeah, I'll just send you like the link or whatever to get one. But yeah, and then Maggie, I see that you take that course. And Maggie, I throw this back out at you because we have as well. We've built a system called Featherweight, which is a evolution of Knockout, which was our first design system. And we haven't even had the chance to package that up because, as you know, like, and just getting all the product stuff and then delivering on client work, and then it's like we have this whole other system.
Yeah.
And yeah, but Maggie, maybe we could go and get Featherweight together and have maybe there's one day which is a Featherweight, and then probably like 2 days of Lumos because I know like Lumos is like a whole thing. But anyway, I think we've got to do something there, Jeremy, where it's a chance for people to learn in person. We could potentially stream as well,
Yeah. Be
for
cool.
people that
Yeah.
would want to. But um, I don't know. I think that could be really great.
Let's do it. Like,
All right.
we'll just find a date or a time, and make it so.
Yeah, maybe like January,
Yeah.
so that people could like sign up on this tax year, and but like have
Well,
it
well,
happen early next year, which January can sometimes be slow. Or
Maggie's like, yes, we have at least one.
all
Um,
right, and I don't know if Maggie. I don't even know if we've met in person. I feel like we've talked so many times, but we haven't met in person yet. So, and we work together. So Maggie's like, I'm just handling a bunch of stuff on the EA side.
wow.
Um, yeah, but Jeremy, any questions? Like, I know you had a list. Have you gotten through your list or?
No, I've got a long.
Okay.
We'll have we must have many conversations for
All
me to.
right. Well, I'm trying to do something like once a week. And so maybe what we could do is like shoot for something in November.
Yeah,
Maybe you and I can spin up a Slack channel behind the scenes and then get like this, business slash building, uh, kind of mini session together.
yeah, man.
And yeah.
I actually spun up a Slack channel for us last time, and then I didn't know how to add you.
Oh,
And then
that's
I
funny.
went out for some travel, and I just slacked Liz, and I was like, hey, can you figure out how to add Mason? And she's like, I'll look at it. And then she went out, so it's
Yeah.
there. I just got to get you in and
I,
whoever you want.
I thought of the same thing. I was like, we should have a Slack channel just so I could send you over like some questions or make sure you had the link for today. Um, but all right, that will be our commitment. We'll figure that out,
Okay.
and then yeah, we'll see what we could get going here.
Okay. I last question before we hang up for you is, how do you spend the first hour of your day?
Depends on the day.
Okay.
So,
Are you not a creature of routine and habit, or
well, I guess if you want to, so I wake up. I would say the first part of my business day is different than the first part of like my everyday, but every day get up, get a cup of coffee, and then I'll check in with the team, in Serbia or South Africa and just see sort of like what's happening. Cause like our day starts around like 3 a.m. Eastern.
yeah,
Um, and on Tuesday, Thursdays, my favorite thing is, and I view this as the start of my work day, but I'll go on a trail run. And that's when I do a lot of my thinking and I do a lot of processing
yeah,
and come back with ideas, or I work out some stress, or I'm able to be a little bit more chill when I get on
yeah,
kind of some calls. Um, and then outside of on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's a crapshoot. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah. So how about you? What about you, Jeremy?
Cool. Mine, it's like you. It varies, but most of the time I start my day with a workout. I have a little gym membership, like 3 minutes from my house, so I just literally roll out of bed at 5 and just go straight there. Half asleep. I come home awake, and then yeah, basically I've got young children, so I take them to school, and then try to get to the office a little ahead of the team and start my day. Like get
Yeah.
into Slack, check any vital messages, and then lay out my day when I'm at my best, I lay out my week on the Friday before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've got a little calendar block when it doesn't get
Okay.
squashed. It's like set up your next week. So the whole week is kind of calendar blocked and organized and prioritized. But yeah, mostly it's for me, the big determinant is I have to do something physically active to reset my brain in the morning,
Yep.
or the whole day I'm a little bit like stressy.
Yep.
It's weird, but I've learned that about myself, and it's a huge component of whether I'm going to have a good day or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you. And I would run every day if I could, but
Yeah.
I try to pace myself, like literally pace myself. But we'll probably have to, I do a lot of time blocking as well. So my day I organize on my calendar, and I will set out like, even when I'm going to do like work on presentations or meetings are really obvious, and then I'll set blocks for when I'm going to have lunch.
Yep.
And man, free app idea, but I would love to have something that like looks at my calendar and then goes and then applies that to like billings. And it would be really easy because all you'd have to do is like you could map the email addresses of like who you had a meeting with
Hmm.
to a account, or it goes to internal, or you could go through and just designate like in my time block, it's like X, Y, or Z for this group. And if you put 3 hours, then it would go and book 3 hours to that. And then after the fact, like visually. Anyway, that is like an app that I would love to have, but those are a dime a dozen. Ideas are easy.
Yeah, I'm curious. We use Teamwork for project management. I don't know
Okay.
if y'all use like Asana or something, but
We
Teamwork.
use
Um,
ClickUp, but we're actively trying to get out of ClickUp because it's always crashing.
Yeah, Teamwork's been good for us, but
Hmm.
it has like a. I don't think it does what you're describing, but it does have a calendar integration where I can assign like a calendar block to a billable project
Oh,
through
interesting.
Google Calendar, so it's
Okay.
automatically syncing up time logs.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's like I think it's probably halfway to what you want, but
Okay.
it's useful for sure. Yeah.
That that would be amazing. Yeah, because right now we have, you know, that's like a whole side of the business, which is like not fun, but it's really important because you have to be
Mhm.
able to do the tracking and reporting and like
Right.
understand
All
like
that stuff.
burn rate and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, yeah, I think let's look at getting um, another conversation in November. And then again, I would love to do kind of like an in-person day of, Lumos business, and we could potentially do optimization. Like a lot of people are curious about how to run like Webflow Optimize or doing
Yeah.
CRO. Um, Also AEO, like we're doing a lot around AEO. I say that I bought a new Subaru this week and that we got a subscription to Profound, um, which was as much as a Subaru.
What is
So
profound?
it's a AEO tool that we're using for our
Okay, okay, I
customers.
don't know it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but they're not giving it away.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would love to get that together.
All right. I'll get a Slack channel going so we can nail it down, and let's do it, man. Yeah, please bring someone, a CRO expert if you have one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Zane's been building out our
Or
CRO group,
some- Yeah.
and then yeah, I would say throughout to Pitar, who's on our uh, channel here, and he's been doing just a lot of like research on like a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, and anyone else that's out there listening, it looks like we've got about 44 people on Twitter and like about 20 people on LinkedIn. If there's questions that anyone has, throw it into the comment and we can, get this going for next time. But
Yes.
yeah, just trying to have kind of a back and forth periodically. And yeah, but just good to hang out with you, Jeremy.
Same, Mason. I'm man, I'm honored. Yeah. Thanks for making this happen. This is
Oh yeah, well,
your idea. You made it happen. So
I thought this would be fun, and like I think something that I always learn a lot from these types of conversations, and being able to share it out with more people, I think is great.
absolutely. Yeah, this is life-giving for me too, just to be able to talk shop and stuff. So yeah, until next time, man.
Till next time, and then now we have a little project.
Let's go.
Awesome. All right, awesome. Thanks everyone for joining in, and talk with you soon. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, bye.
See ya.